This one right here is a scale model of the Mercedes Benz R107. This is the SL Class. Now, as you can see, it is a convertible. You can either have it with a soft top or a hard top, and it only has 2 seats. But what we have here today is the 1970 Mercedes Benz 350 SLC. This is the 4-seat, 2-door version of the SL. Then I'm going to show you around this car. I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. I'd like to thank our video sponsor, ZeroStainAutomotive.com. ZeroStainAutomotive.com is a website that sells car parts and accessories. They're kind enough to send me this one right here, the Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlights. Now, I received one from them before, which I installed in my LC90 Prado, the Land Cruiser, but they sent me another one, which I shall install later on. They also sent me a couple of stuff like tail bulbs and P10 light bulbs, which you can use for your plate number or your interior lights, so they are quite handy. They also sent me some tire gel right here and an all-purpose cleaner. The design language of this C107, as I would call it, is very much in line with most of the Mercedes Benz from its time. So you have an incredibly long hood and it's all very muscular looking. You get so much chrome on this all across the grille. You have the bento box Mercedes Benz logo that they only used to use for their sportier lineup. However, unfortunately nowadays, we all know that they've started removing the hood star in lieu of that. You get more chrome on the bumper. Since this is a Euro version car, you don't get your sealed headlamps, which makes this car look a little bit more classy in my opinion. You also get fog lamps on this one. Now here towards the side of the C107 compared to the R107, this car is actually 14 inches longer in wheelbase. And why that is longer is because this car would later on become the CL Class or the S Class Coupe, while the SL, the R107, still, well, became the SL. And as you can see, the main difference here is that you don't have a removable top. You get these nice louvers, which they don't open. They're just, well, there for the aesthetics. Then you also have one entire character line that runs all across the car. You get even more chrome on this one, so your wing mirrors and this trim right here is also chrome. Even your hubcaps are all solid chrome, and these are only 14-inch tires, by the way. A design element I never understood from these older Mercs is that they tend to have their wipers stuck almost together, and they wipe practically the same thing. So yeah, that really never made sense. The fuel filler is over here towards the right of the car, and you don't open it sideways like modern cars, so you pull it and it goes all the way down. It's really interesting. Now, this car from behind is the exact opposite of the front. So while in the front you have a long hood, here you have a really short overhang for your trunk. Now, speaking of your trunk in itself, it's all covered in chrome. You get chrome bits up here. Your entire bumper is chrome. You get your ribbed tail lights. That way snow, dust, dirt, and grime won't get on it. Then you have your 350 SLC badge, which what's interesting about it is that number one, it's underlined this way. Mercedes didn't have to like stick each letter individually. And number two, as you can see, that the C is separate from the rest of the letters. Now, to open this one up, you just press this button right here, just like old Mercs. And when you lift this one up, your trunk is actually decently sized, and the carpeting in this one, it's all perfect and nice. To close this, you just slam it back down like that. And now finally down here, you do get dual exhaust tips on this one. To reach under the hood of this 350 SLC, you just reach under this Mercedes logo right here, and there's a lever you pull, and you just pull straight up. And under the hood, you have this 3.5 liter M116 kind of small block V8 engine, which makes 200 horsepower and 286 Newton meters of torque. Now, as you can hear, this thing sounds like a classic V8, and it's all gurgly and nice rumbly sounding. And the power is not bad. However, this has only made it to a 3-speed automatic transmission. Here inside the 350 SLC, first let's check the door thud. The doors are incredibly heavy on this one. That's why the sound it makes is also absolutely magnificent. Now let's start the car up. Make some clicking sound. Fires right up like that. All right, so the interior of this car has been restored and it looks absolutely beautiful. So the dashboard, the sidings, even the seats are all in perfect shape. Anyway, going back to the dashboard, it is wrapped in leather. Same thing here on the side, but at least you do get an armrest. The steering wheel, it's also nice leather on the sides and also wood inserts up top and at the bottom. And the steering wheel is absolutely huge. This thing is probably bigger than the steering wheel I get in my W113 S Class. Your instrument cluster, it's quite basic. It is from the 70s after all, nothing fancy there. To the middle of everything, you have a nice looking clock. It's made by VDO, that is pretty cool. Your air vents are all like circles as well. You get so much more wood trim on this one. You had a Becker Mexico head unit, but unfortunately this one doesn't work anymore, so it's just there for the aesthetic purposes. Open up this glove box and you have your, well, your modern radio right there inside. Pretty cool. Your AC settings, it's very rudimentary, so you just turn this knob right here for the fan speed and this one for the temperature. I'm not quite sure about these two levers on either side. The transmission, it is just a 3-speed. I'm not sure why there's like a 4 on this one though. Get your hazard switch. Your power window switches here in the middle, they're also like very typical of the old Mercedes, and you can even open up the rear window, the rear quarter window, everything from this one. It is really cool. Open this one up and you get a bunch more places to put some items. Then finally the seats. Now the seats in these old Mercedes, they are both firm and squishy, spongy at the same time. So you do feel the firmness of it, but also you know that they are soft and comfortable. It's a really odd experience to be sitting in one of these seats. Your headrest too, it's made out of the same material, but that one is at least a little bit softer. Up top, you get a sunroof. Now the mirrors on this car, they don't fold, and the only way you can adjust them is through these knobs on the side. It's really small, but hey, they do work. Just below that, your door handles are also the tiniest inner door handles I've seen on any car. This is like the inner door handle version of the external door handles of the NA Miata. Entering the back seat of the C107, it's a little bit tricky. So first, you just unlatch the seat belt from the hook, then you simply push the front seats forward. Now you're gonna ask me, does it not have a lock? Is that not safe? Well, if the car is running, you won't be able to push this because of some sort of vacuum thing locking this. It is pretty cool, over-engineered stuff. Climbing onto the back of this car, it's not too bad, but once you're back here, well, legroom isn't exactly the best. You can kind of do it at a pinch, but headroom is severely limited. What's cool about it though is that you still get your own armrest back here, and you also have an armrest here to the side. You can even turn down the windows by yourself. You have a power window switch here at the back as well. Can you see 3 people back here? I don't know why you want to do that, but yes, you kind of can. At a pinch, at a desperate pinch. But aside from that, please do not do it. It's strictly a 2+2 seater car. Driving the 1972 350 SLC. Now, first thing, as you drive this car, the brake pedal is kind of weird because it's mounted a bit too high to the point that your foot will easily touch the liner under the steering column. So it is quite concerning. Sometimes you're scared that you might accidentally miss the brake with this car. Now this car has a 3.5 liter V8 under the hood. It's an M116 engine with 200 horsepower. So you might think that this car, being pretty small, it's gonna be fast. Well, you're absolutely wrong, because it is a really old engine and you only have 3 speeds to choose from. Plus the fact that this car actually weighs 2,050 kilograms. That is quite heavy. That is over 2 tons with this thing. So I'm currently flooring it right now, and yeah, there's really not that much happening with this car. You do get a lot of noise, which adds to the fun and fast sensation to it, but aside from that noise, it doesn't really propel you that fast. It's quite nice though how you have like this gurgling sound from that big V8 engine. Just modern cars nowadays don't get that sense of fuel-hungry consumption sound translating into non-speed. This thing just has a completely different sensation. It just feels nowhere like a modern car. The steering system in this is a recirculating ball, so I can turn the wheel around 6 inches or so with nothing happening. The steering wheel moves, but the tires, they simply don't. You don't feel where the tires are at any point in time. It's not direct at all. It is not precise either. Just try to kind of push it around this corner right here. And yes, there's a considerable amount of body roll. That 2,050 kilograms of weight, you can feel every single one of it. Let's take another one pretty fast. And geez, this thing is not meant to take corners. This thing is a sports looking yacht. It's like taking an S Class and turning it into a 2-door thing, and this is what you get. It's not particularly sporty, but at least it is a nice Grand Tour. It's actually pretty comfortable in here over like bumps and potholes. This thing is pretty comfortable. The seats in the 350 SLC, it is very comfortable. I really love how they're both firm and soft at the same time. This is one of those cars that, although it's not really the best for longer journeys because of, well, its condition, I mean how old it is, the seats are one of those seats that you would want to be pampered in for really long journeys. The brakes in the 350 SLC, they are strangely modern feeling. Like, I wouldn't say that it feels different from a modern brake system, and they're pretty good. Next thing about this car is just how long the hood is. It is quite disproportionate feeling when you drive it because it's so short at the back, but up front, maneuvering this is just crazy. There's just so much hood space in front of you that you have to take into consideration every time you take a corner. I haven't driven really old Mercs. The oldest I've driven are the things such as like the 126, but compared to those cars, this feels like much older. It's not just a slight difference between that generation. This is it's just incredibly older feeling. It's more old-fashioned. It's more rudimentary. But that doesn't mean that this car does not have class, because this thing has a classic car, as a vintage car even at this point. It sure exudes some sort of class to it. It's not a refined experience, but it is an interesting, once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, if you are looking for the classic car experience, then head on over to Grail Classic. I'll put their link down below in the description. They have your Facebook page and Instagram page. Send them a message, and they offer rental cars for like photo shoots, such as this one and other classic cars. So you want to upgrade your aging vehicle to make it look a little bit more modern and at the same time add a little bit more safety. What's the best way to do that? You upgrade to LED headlights. And today here, my friend's 1995 Tamaro FX will receive this treatment. We're going to use this Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlights from ZeroStainAutomotive.com, and we're gonna see just how much brighter the light can be. So here, driving the Tamaro FX, and as you can see, the stock headlights are doing a really poor job of illuminating the road. And even if you use like high beam right now, it's not doing a great job out of it. Now we've installed ZeroStainAutomotive.com's Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlights. Even with just the low beam, it is so much brighter than stock. And if you put on high beam, not only is it brighter, but it goes way further than stock. So if you're looking for something to upgrade the look of your car and also to increase your safety, just go to ZeroStainAutomotive.com and check out their line of LED headlights and other car accessories.